Okay, last session we learned about few important selectors, how to use dynamic pseudo element validation state selectors. In validation state selectors, we discussed about few important selectors like how we can use required and optional and valid, invalid, in range and out of range. We will see them. How to handle this. Yesterday's example, we saw one option, how to use required and optional. And to verify whether required satisfied or not, then for that we have to use valid and invalid. So generally valid, invalid are used for handling other type of validations. Other type of validation means pattern. So here I will give an example here. So pattern, suppose you are using pattern, suppose you are using min length and you are using email or you are using URL. All these all use valid and invalid. For required, we are having required and you can use optional. But for others, we have valid and invalid. That is the reason sometimes we have a problem is we cannot understand exactly what problem occurred if there are many validations. Then you have to take help of JavaScript and jQuery. For example, suppose we are writing input type is equal to text and pattern is equal to a-z and 4,10. This indicates only name in uppercase letters. And it is also having some other validation. Some other validation like suppose it is defined with required. Now here two validations are there. If pattern problem occurred, then it says invalid. If required problem occurred, then also it will say invalid. Then doubt here is means for users it is confusion. Is it pattern problem or is it required problem? For that reason, we have to go and take help of JavaScript and jQuery for validations. With CSS, such limitations are there as of now. So the limitations are nothing but CSS can identify problem, but it cannot report the exact problem. We have to manually define that. So let's see, for example, so we are using some validation here. So in this, we will take simple input validation. Yeah, so input validation, web application. Yeah, so here we are defining username, and for that already I given you this example. Let's clean this and let's keep a simple option here as suppose mobile, and here I am giving ID as mobile, and here we are writing some pattern. pattern and slash plus 91 and 10 digits slash D and 10 digit number. That is pattern. And here we are defining invalid mobile. Invalid mobile is the message. Now we need to write validation for this. So validation for mobile to enter the details. So here we are writing hash mobile, and in that mobile, if mobile is valid, mobile is valid means it is matching with the pattern you ask. For pattern you cannot have like pattern, you cannot use it. There is no class called pattern. For required you have a class called required. That means for required you have a option, but for pattern you don't have an option. For min length you don't have an option. So for email you don't have an option. Then all are verified by using simply valid. If it is valid, then I will give here as so border as 2 pixel solid and green color, and box shadow 2 pixel, 3 pixel green, that is valid. And hash, if it is invalid, mobile invalid, so we want to display that red color. That means we have to define border 2 pixel solid and red color, and box shadow, so box shadow 2 pixel, 3 pixel red. That's how we need to configure. Now if you want to handle the message also, you know, so we have to use mobile, and beside, if it is mobile is valid, and the span beside it should display as none. It should display as none. If it is invalid, mobile invalid, then the span adjacent to it, so display should be like block. Suppose say color as red, like this we define. Now this is the validation defined for that kind of option. It is initially green because initially it is not having any required error. If it is required also, you can give different color. So suppose you are handling required also for this, because if you don't give, it is like optional if you don't give required. So I will type here required. That means hash mobile, and if mobile is required, then same red color I want to display. So this red color we will display for that. That means if required also having a problem, then it will display. But this invalid, because it is invalid, it shows the invalid mobile. So but the problem here is I haven't yet typed mobile, but it is showing invalid mobile. If I haven't typed, then it should show mobile required. But once you start typing, then it should show invalid mobile. Now it cannot do that, because that's what I said. If anyone is invalid, it will return invalid. Then how do I write the message? Then we need to write the message mobile required and invalid. But that doesn't look great. Why? Because anyone should be there. We cannot handle this in our CSS. For that reason, we need to take help of JavaScript and jQuery. That means it can identify the problem, but it cannot exactly tell what the problem is. Because if one problem is there, one validation is there, okay. If multiple validations are there, then this issue will come. we have to manually manage that through the logic. So here that is the problem. So both are not satisfied. Suppose I am typing now mobile like 9. So it is showing red color 987654321 and I started with plus 91. Now it is okay. But still that required problem is not satisfied. Why? Because if required is satisfied, again we have to write optional. That is the reason this kind of multiple validations are not great for CSS. It has only one option, valid or invalid. For one option, that is good. That means if I say pattern problem, then we said invalid, and here I am not giving anything for required. That means if it is invalid, so then one option. I am typing something here, so you can see that is normal and invalid mobile, and I started with plus 91. Now it is okay. So multiple validations, if they are there, then it is not great. So that is the reason CSS is not used for handling all type of validation as of now. I told you that is why it is a roadmap. Roadmap means our developers are going towards handling everything with CSS, but still we have several issues. So I told you in future versions, they are going to handle everything with CSS. Currently, some limitations are there. So then when to use valid and invalid? When you are using any specific validation, so other than required, like you are using pattern or min length or email, so then you can go with invalid and valid. So example like this, syntactically we define like this. Syntactically hash some mobile, if it is invalid, then the span beside it will display block, and we will put color red. And if the mobile is valid, the span beside it, just span we are giving, display as none. And we have input type is equal to text, and ID is equal to mobile, and pattern we are writing some pattern for mobile. Ten-digit number, and we have a span saying invalid mobile. So multiple validations it cannot handle. Multiple validations you cannot manage for that. Right. Next important, we have in range, out of range. In range, out of range is used for numbers. When you are taking number as input, then this in range, out of range will work. But one advantage with number input is number input can restrict and can show message. For example, but some browsers don't support. That is the reason. Suppose we entered some age and I given age, and for age input type we are defining number. For that we have a number range also, number range. So number range I given min is equal to some 15 and max is equal to some 25 like this. And so here I will write a validation message is 15 to 25 only. That's the message. Now, one advantage is some browsers will handle this very good without validations. So how some browsers will handle it? So they will give you a numeric up down. In that numeric up down, when you start, it will start with 15. It will not go below 15. So there is no problem at all. Because what range you asked, it is allowing only that range. And maximum, you cannot go more than 25. That's enough. You don't need a validation. But the issue will come when you are using this on various other browsers where number up down will not come. Already I showed you that. Several browsers cannot have this numeric up down. Browser compatibility issues are there. In that case, what we have to do now, we need to check the range and put the validation. So how we do that? Same. Here we are writing hash age. If age is, we define as in range. If it is in range is used only for number inputs. If it is in range, then we will put border as 2 pixel solid green color and box shadow as 2 pixel, 3 pixel, 3 pixel green like this. And if age is out of range, then border as 2 pixel solid and red color and box shadow 2 pixel, 3 pixel something and red color. That is in range, out of range. Now in range, out of range is used for numbers. Now it shows green. But in that case, you can do one thing. By default, you can put some value. That will be better. So if I put some value, then you can see now it looks okay. Now here we are just using the color. We want this message also to appear. You can do that, right? Currently we are using only color. We are not displaying the message. Now when I type anything less than that, then it shows red. So if you are typing some, so 1, it is red. If I am typing some 20, so it's okay. I am writing like 29, that's invalid. That's okay. Now you know how to display the message. How to display the message? Here we need to display the message. Then you have to write one more option for that age. What we have to define? If age is in range, then the span adjacent to it display should be none. Similarly, if age is out of range, then the span beside it should be display as some inline or block something. That means if you are typing anything, so out of range, it will show that. You have to use combinations. We have to define combinations. So we can, if I enter correct, now it is fine. It will display only when you are entering anything is out of range. Anything is out of range. Within the range, then it will hide that message. You can put color to your control, or you can define a message that you can manage by using this technique. So this is range. So this is another syntax for numeric range. Numeric range. How you define the numeric range? For numeric range, age is in range. In range, so we are defining border as 2 pixel solid and green. You can put box shadow and all. If age is out of range, I'm just giving only one effect. You can try others, right? Border as 2 pixels, solid red. And the input type is equal to number, and ID is min is equal to some 15, max equal to 25, something like this. That is all the validation state classes. Right. These are all validation pseudo classes. Next, we have structural pseudo classes. Structural pseudo classes. Structural pseudo classes. Actually, structural pseudo classes, they depend on the hierarchy of elements. Structural pseudo classes depend on hierarchy of elements in their occurrence. That means you have seen how to apply effects. How do we apply effects for all child elements? You have seen how to apply effects for all adjacent elements. But if I want to apply to any specific, that means for fourth child, I want some effect. For second child, I want some effect. That is called structural. Structural is nothing but structural pseudo classes. The purpose of this is these classes are used to apply effects. These classes are used to apply effects based on their occurrence. Apply effects based on their occurrence. Where they occur, based on that, these classes are used. Structural pseudo classes are used based on the occurrence. So, what are the occurrences we are having? We have like first child. We have like last child. First child, last child. We have like nth child. We have like nth of type. Nth of type. So first child, last child, nth child, nth of type, nth last of type, nth last of type. And we have root, we have empty. These are very commonly used structural pseudo classes. First child, last child, nth child, nth of type, nth last of type. So what is the point here is, generally when you are applying effects, if there are so many child elements, suppose let's see an ordered list. We can use for ordered, unordered list. That is simple, I am giving. Otherwise, you can apply for tables. Table have rows, we can apply for rows. First, I will show you here ordered list, then we can apply on table. Suppose some item 1 and similar we are adding some options. So here we are defining item 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay. Now I am applying effects. I want to apply for list item. So color as red. It will apply for all list items. I want to apply only for third. I want to apply only for first, only for last. That's very simple now. We can just use the selector first child. First child is nothing but it will apply to the first one. Means whatever the first one is there. Later, actually what we do is with the JavaScript, we add items newly. We remove items from the list. When item is added newly or removed, automatically the first item will be changing. So whichever first item is there, I want to apply that color to that effects to that. Then we can define first child. Suppose I want to apply to last. We can apply last child. First child, last child. It will apply to last. Any specific, then we can use nth child. Nth child, you have to tell the number where you want to apply. I want to apply to third. That means it will apply to the third. I want to apply to the fourth. It will apply to the fourth. It can apply to specific. Here one technique is there. Suppose I defined 2. That means it will apply to 2. I said 2n. 2 means it will apply to 2. Then n means every second occurrence. N means every second occurrence. Every second occurrence it will apply. That means 2, 4, 6, 8. Every second occurrence it is going to apply. Every second occurrence it is applying. Now similarly, suppose I said 3, then it will be only for third one. Only for third. And I say 3n, that means it will be every third occurrence. Every third occurrence starting from 3. But every third occurrence starting from 1. I want starting from 1, every third occurrence. By default, it is starting with 3. And for every third occurrence, it is applying. Then plus 1. This indicates every third occurrence starting with 1. That means it starts with 1 and every third occurrence. That means now the first one, fourth one, seventh one. Suppose I said starting with second, every third occurrence. Starting with second, every third occurrence. Your wish. You can define effects in that way. So you have so many things in one option. You can even use the word even. If I use the word even, then for every even occurrence it will apply. If I use the word odd, for every odd occurrence it will apply. 1, 3, 5, 7. That means you can use the words even, you can use the word odd, you can use 2, you can use 2n, you can use 2n plus 1. So many things are there to handle only for this nth child. So first child, it applies to first child element. Last child, it will apply to last child element. And nth child, it defines specific child element. Specific child elements. Here in the parenthesis 2, this indicates second element. second child, right? Like this. If I say 2n, every second child, then 2n plus 1. So every second child starting with 1, and say odd, every odd occurrence, and even, every even occurrence like this. Every odd occurrence, every even occurrence in the parenthesis. That means syntactically we have to write list item nth child odd. So for odd, so we are giving some color as red like this. That's how we define. So this is basically how we configure the effects. Structural classes, these are. Based on the occurrence, we can apply effects for this. Now here, nth of type, nth last of type, like options are there. Nth of type, nth last of type. Actually, these are nothing but what is nth of type, nth last of type. It's nothing but, suppose you define, suppose nth last of type, nth of type. Nth of type I given as 2. So when I given as 2, then you can see it applies to 2, same. Nth child is same, nth of type is same. Actually, nth of type I given to n for every second occurrence it apply. Actually, nth of type is used for this 2n. But now in the latest version, nth type itself manages everything. That is the reason we don't need this. Actually, earlier we have a classification. Like if I give, actually, these all are not allowed. These all not allowed in nth child actually earlier. Nth child means it will ask only number. Nth of type is used for using all these other nth occurrence. Nth occurrence means you can give for every 2 occurrence. But in the latest modern CSS, in this attribute itself, this class itself can handle all these functionalities. That is the reason we don't need to use this nth of type. Nth of type. That means you can say that it is for every nth occurrence. Every nth occurrence. Nth last of type is also same, but actually it is nothing but for every nth occurrence from bottom. Generally, nth of type is going to apply from top. Every second occurrence from top. Every second occurrence from bottom. Every third occurrence from bottom. You can apply by using last of type. So nth last of type is used for that. Last of type is used. So here when you are applying effect, you can see nth here I defined. So last of type. Nth last of type I given 2n. That means it will be from bottom every 2. From bottom every 2 occurrence. That means 8th is the first one and this is the second. Suppose if I say nth last of type plus 1, then what will happen? That means from bottom first one. From bottom first one, every 2 occurrences it will apply. Previously it is applying from the top. Last of type indicates from bottom. You can apply occurrence from bottom, you can apply occurrence from top. So that is generally used for these options. So now in the recent modern CSS majority, you can apply with nth type. We can use that nth type for even and odd occurrences also. Generally, when you are working with tables, suppose I just given here an example of color. Suppose I am creating a table, some width, some border we defined for table, and here we have t head, tr, th, some name and price, and we have t body, table body, and row in that td. So here we are having options like tv and some price like this. Now similarly, I am adding some rows. Roughly I will paste the same. I'm adding some rows. We have different options like TV, some mobile, like mobile, yeah, and some like price, some shoe, some options we defined here, and some details we have. Okay, so here we have configured a table. So we have configured a table something roughly, and in this table contains rows. We want, generally this is very regularly asked, even and odd occurrence. That means what we do is, in the table, because we cannot write tr is present everywhere. Now we have to use t body. In the t body, so wherever tr comes, for that tr we need to apply the occurrence. So what is the occurrence? So here I am defining the occurrence as nth child, and here I given as even. If it is even, then background color, suppose some green, light green, that's I am applying, and I am configuring that, and I will give here very light green, RGB colors I am applying, and you can see it is going to display that for odd, even. And similarly, what we do is, in the t body, so table row, nth child, and it is what, odd. For odd occurrence, background color I defined as red, and I will take it as light red with RGB. Then it will be displayed in this way. That means even and odd occurrences. Similarly, first, last. So if you want to apply for t head, then we can apply for t head. In t head, we have tr. For that, we need to apply some background color as some green, and the color as some white, and we are applying that for that heading. These kind of appearances we can manage for various type of content using these structural selectors. So because I given on ordered list and unordered list, your brains will cease there. You will think that only for that kind of appearance we can use, but it is used everywhere. Wherever we have such elements occurrence, then you have to apply there. On tables, on paragraphs, even on paragraphs, if they are present as child inside a div, then you can apply for first paragraph one color, second paragraph another color. Because people think that when I show on ordered list, unordered list, we can apply only for that, because already we know that child means anything inside the parent. A div can be parent, inside that paragraphs can be child. Inside a div, another div can be child. We can apply for any type of elements like this, right? This is a simple example for that, single example. So an example for, this is an example for syntax for table. For table, I given in this way. In the table body, wherever row is there, we have nth child we have odd. For odd, we are giving color. Some background color as red, some color as white. This is for odd occurrence. Similarly, we have nth child even. So for that we have background color spelling wrong. Background hyphen color red. Background color as some green and color as white, like this. We have just the occurrence for this. Designing table you can do with rows and columns, right? Next important, we have root and we have empty. Actually, empty is used to configure empty. For example, see here, suppose any cell I designed in a table is not having value. That means any container like a paragraph or a div you written without any content inside, empty. That means now this is empty. If this is empty, now I want a separate appearance for that. That means I want a different appearance for that. So in that case, what we have to do is, we have to define here wherever table cells are there, TD. And if TD is empty, you can use it for TD or div or span, anywhere it is empty. Then I can apply some color. So background color as some gray. And you can see that here empty cells will be in gray color. Very important is, even a space is present, then it is not empty. That means, for example, here some space is present, it is not empty. Now it will not have that color. So that means empty means absolute empty without any content inside it. Even a blank space should not be there. It is not only for table cells, it is used for general divs, spans. Why? Because sometimes we write some empty containers, later we will implement data into them. Because already we know that, I told you, everything is not designed by us. There will be a review type. Somebody will review, somebody will make changes. You designed one part, you send to another person. He will design the rest of the part. That in a team-based development process, so many things you need to leave empty. Then immediately to highlight that it is empty so that they can easily observe that, then we can mark them by using this technique. So for that we need an empty selector. So that is simple. Another important, we have a selector called root selector. But this root selector is equal to body. So this is very helpful when you are dealing with elements dynamically in JavaScript and jQuery. As of now, root indicates the parent of all elements in the page. Who is the parent of all elements in the page? Body. That means this root is going to apply to the body. For body, I want font family, some Arial. That means it will apply Arial as font family for entire body. Root represents here body, entire body. So that means all the elements parent. So it will apply to that. So that is simple. We can configure in this way. This is another example for empty and root. Empty and root. So if table cell is empty, then we are applying some color. So background color as some gray like this. And if we have root is applied for entire body. Font family is some Arial like this. That is empty and root. Right. These are structural pseudo classes. How we can configure the structural pseudo classes. Right. Now another important category, pseudo element classes. Pseudo element classes. We have pseudo element classes. Pseudo element classes. Actually, pseudo element classes, we have options like, pseudo element classes. We have, see, generally here they will look little different. Suppose we want to apply for any element. Suppose we have a table T body. Pseudo element classes, we have to use options like before. But actually these pseudo element classes, they use a double colon. So this is double colon. Double colon, what is the purpose of that double colon? That means it implements multiple effects. So later you will see such multiple effects manually written. We can manually write them. Actually, these classes are used for, these are the classes applied to element. These are the classes applied to element that occurs to elements before, occurs to elements before, after, or first and last of existing hierarchy. These are the classes applied to element that occurs to elements before, after, or first and last of existing hierarchy. This is little bit very important to understand before you use them. First we need to see that. Actually, that is the reason, actually these classes are applied to any element using double colon symbol, using double colon. This double colon indicates two meanings actually. This indicates, which means implement and inherit. Implement and inherit. Implement and inherit. Implement and inherit is nothing but, implement means use the rules. Inherit means add more functionality. That means with certain rules add a functionality. So inherit means only adding the functionality, but implement and inherit means adding functionality with certain rules. So implement and inherit means, this symbol means adding any functionality with specific rules, adding any functionality with specific rules. For that, we need to use these selectors. And for that, we are having, so the element classes are, we have the element classes before, we have after, we have first letter, first line, first letter. So these are the element classes. We also have placeholder. So we also have selection. Placeholder and selection. These are also available. Selection. So why they are called rules? Because before means it's mandatory that that element should occur before the current element. After means it should occur after that current element. The rule is important. And you can apply some effects to that. For example, see, initially before and after is used for this kind of design. Suppose we are creating a navigation bar. I'm creating here a ordered list. Here we said list item, home, and we have about, and we have contact like this, about, contact. Yeah, some options we have defined, blog, something. Now we need to display these contents like a menu. Then we design ordered list, list style as none. That means there will be no numbering. And we will put here display, list style none. And here we will put display as flex. That means it will keep a flexible display. Now, every list item, between them, its space is lost. They are one beside another. So we can write like this. Every list item after, that means after every list item, every list item after means right side, after every list item. We can put content, Content indicates what content you want to put. I can put a content like this. I can put a content like slash. Then every item it will put a slash. Or I can put some symbol like this. Then it will put a symbol. We can copy some symbols. I will tell you. Just like I showed you language now. Like language, you can copy and paste native language from Google Translate. Similarly, we have some symbols, icons also copied in the way. We can copy some symbols in that way and put them. We can use the symbols. So this indicates after every item. So I want before every item. That means we can use before. Before every item, it will apply. But if you are applying after every item, before every item, for first item, I don't want. For first item, I don't want that symbol. You know how to remove it now. You know how to remove it. You know, but you have to use your brain. For list item, so what is the occurrence? Occurrence is if it is first child, list item first child, then what we have to do before the content, So before the content, we will keep it empty. Before the content, we will keep empty. That means it will be empty. That's what we have to implement. That means what you learnt up to now, you have to implement as a combination. That means for list item, for first child, before that, the content should be empty. So you can keep any content there. You can keep any content there. You can keep any content. You can write any content text. Like I said, now, so navigation. So, or say, I say site map. I'm writing like a site map and it will show site map. You can put any content. You can put icon symbols also. Icon symbols, I will tell you how we can put the content. So we can add before, we can add after. This type of content is means before, after, not only symbol, you can put a space. You can add some more effects to it, padding, margins, you can give anything. Instead of padding and margin, I am using content. You can say after every item, some right margin must be there. After every item, before every item, left margin must be there. You can give anything. If you want any specific content to display, then you can add like this. That is used for before and after. Before and after. So before, after specifies content to display. Before, existing, specifies content to display. After, existing. Existing element actually. No? Existing element. So these others are same actually. First line, it names itself, tell what it is. That means effects for first line in a block, or you say in a container. Container means paragraph, div, anything. Effects for first letter in a container. Placeholder, effects for placeholder. Effects for selected content. These are the options. So these are all the elements. In this you have seen before and after. Example for before and after. For before and after, these effects I given there. Order list, list style as none, and list item before, content what you want to add. You can add various symbols also. You can add custom images. You have an option called URL, content URL. You can put any picture. In some examples, we will see that. And the list will be like this, ordered list. In that we have like some home. In that we have like some about, like this. We can have any. I just given only two. So we need to use a combination. So if I don't want to apply to last, if it is after, then we have to write list item last child after. So before, after, like this. This is general, and first letter, first line already we know. So their name itself tell. First line means it will apply for first line. First letter means it will apply for first letter. We can directly apply. So here, suppose you are having a paragraph, we can apply for first letter and first line. So we will take some paragraph here. We will add some paragraph here. And let's copy. And in this paragraph, because we haven't learned effects yet, we are just learning only selectors. We have to learn effects also, we will learn. We'll put in a paragraph. Now this is all the content. I want appearance here for paragraph, just text align, justify. It will give a justified alignment. Now I want to apply for paragraph first. So have letter, first letter. First letter, I want to apply some font size as some 30 pixel. So first letter font size 30 pixel, it will be like this. But so many points are there, because sometimes what we want to push it down. For example, suppose we given as 50 pixel and font family as Arial, different font for that. And here font color as some red, we defined some color appearance like this. Actually, we have to use option like float left. Later I will tell you about floating options few, then it will be like this. That means how many lines it should drop. We call this as drop cap. We call as drop cap. Drop cap indicates how many lines it can drop depending on size. How much size you given, based on that the number of lines it will drop. Such drop caps can be designed by using this mechanism. If you want to apply only for first letter, we can define first letter. If I want to apply for paragraph first line, we can apply for first line. For first line, usually we can just configure some color as some blue. That means the first line will be in blue color. You can give a different appearance for that. Another option is we have selection. This selection, I will give a background color as yellow. Selection is nothing but selection indicates that while selecting what color. That means when you are selecting some text, it will highlight with that. That is the selection color. That is highlighting it. Another option, we are having placeholder, but you know placeholder is for elements text boxes. Na? Suppose I said name. So I said another paragraph here, name, and input type is equal to text or password or anything. We have a placeholder name in block letters something. And here many times people ask this question like, can I change that? Right? This should not be applied for paragraph. I will keep in a div. Okay. Because universally we are applying for paragraph. Now what should happen here is I want the color for this placeholder to change. Color for placeholder to change. Then how to access this text box ID as some username. I will access that hash username. We have to use placeholder. For placeholder color, I will put as red. Then placeholder color will be red. We can change the color of placeholder. So we can change the color of placeholder, some yellow, and you can see the placeholder color will be changed. So if you want, then you can affect that by using this placeholder. These are general things. These are general things. So first letter, first line, placeholder, and selection. So here an example for drop cap. We call as drop caps. How we give drop caps? For a paragraph, so we have to add first letter. For first letter, so font size as some 40 pixel, font weight as bold, and we have a color as red, and one more effect you have to add, float left. Then only it will look like drop caps. That's how we can define. You can add paragraph first line, some color. So color as blue. And you can also apply for paragraph. You can apply for paragraph selection. Paragraph or div or span, anything, wherever the content is present. Selection. Selection, we applied some background color. Background color yellow. Yellow. This is for paragraph, first letter, first line, and selections. How you get the effect and apply the effect. Next, important here in CSS, one more here is another example for placeholder. Placeholder, we have to just use, suppose hash username placeholder, and we can apply the color, something, double colon, right? We have to apply. That is how we can define the selectors. These are all CSS selectors. We have seen so many CSS selectors. And all these selectors, depending on situation and requirement, we will use them now. We have learned them. Now we will use these selectors in designing the effects. Now, after understanding how to select any element to apply color, to apply some effects, first you must be able to select that element. For that, you need all these selectors. These selectors are very helpful later in JavaScript jQuery also. In JavaScript jQuery also, dynamically we select an element and we apply effects. That we can do by using these selectors. Next, after understanding the selectors, now we need to understand about CSS units and the CSS colors. Then we can go with CSS effects. Units, generally, two types of units are present. Because detailedly we will see with examples, two types of units are present. One is we have absolute units, and we have relative units. We have absolute units and relative units. Absolute units means actually absolute units will apply for any element, for any specified element, will apply for any specified element, That is absolute units. We have absolute units so many. We can use IN, this is inch, cm, this is centimeters, and we have like ps, pt, this is points. We have px, this is for pixels. We can even give percent. Percent is what you call it as fluid. We call it as fluid. Inches, centimeters, percent, points, pixels. Actually, these are all absolute units. What is difference between them is, if you want minor adjustments, then you can go with pixels. More size you need to adjust, then you can go with inch, centimeters. Generally, we use inches, centimeters when our target is paper. If our target is paper, then we use inches, centimeters, because that paper measures in inches and centimeters. But if our target is screen, then better we go with pixels and percent. Pixels and percent. These will apply accordingly. Points, inches, centimeters, all are little different in sizes. And those units sizes I will give you in the notes. That means 1 inch, how many pixels, 1 centimeter, how many pixels it will take, those things. Actually, when you are applying relative units are nothing but relative units will apply for any element based on its parent. It's not direct units, based on its parent. And a very important relative unit is em and rem. These two are relative units actually, em and rem. Em is element, and rem is root element. These are called relative units. So what is the point here is simple, actually easy to understand also. For example, here I have the text. Suppose you see here we have simple text I will give. In the body we have an ordered list item 1, and in the body I given some paragraph and display as suppose demo, or say CSS demo, something. Now you can see both size are same. Now what happens is, I am giving here body. The body font size I given as 20 pixel. And what should happen is the ordered list item font size should change according to body size. That means it should be, suppose body is 20, it should be 30, 10% extra. Then 2 times extra. We can write like this. Li generally font size, if I give 40 pixels, what will happen? It will be 40 pixels. List item will be 40 pixels. Now see what happened. I changed it to 40. Body size 40. Now this size will be 40 only. But that should change according to body. When body size is changing, this size also should adjust. Then we give like this, not 40 pixels. We will give as 2 em. 1 em means, so 1 em means 100% of its parent. 100% of its parent. 100% of its parent means it is 40. 2 em means 2 times the parent. 2 times the parent. That means 2 em is 2 times the parent. That means 2 times the parent. That is body. You can also give, suppose minus 2 em. So it will be 2 times less than that. You can give 2 EM, it will be like this. We can give like this. Observe, suppose I am changing this to 20. Then what is the size of list item? It will be 40. When you are changing the body size, automatically it will be changing this one. That means based on parent, it should adjust. These type of effects are very much important when you are keeping some content inside another content. If you are keeping a content inside another content and you are adjusting the parent and you are not adjusting the child, then it will misbehave in appearance. So the child elements size must be in such a way that they should be according to the parent. Padding, margins, all these things. If you don't give correctly, then what happens? The child size will remain same, parent size will be changing, then effects will not be as expected, they will be abnormal. That's the reason we have to use these units. What are those units? Relative units. Root elements, if there are multiple levels, then root elements. For that one example, I will give you how to handle. That we'll see in tomorrow's session. Right, tomorrow we will discuss about one more option, that is CSS units, and we have one more, CSS colors. Here you will learn how to apply gradients, borders, images, apply various types of colors for our elements. With that, now we will take example of one screen of website. We will try to design. That means now we will start designing some real world examples by taking some website samples. Then you can practice others on that, right? Tomorrow we will do that, right?